and visiting families. And I just want to kind of give a quick reflection of our trip. You know, when you knock on doors, sometimes, you know, we have lists of students, and, you know, lots of times when you're doing this work, you always kind of hit with lists and data. But sometimes you forget that these lists, that these names on this list are actually connected to families. And one of the things I like about door knocking is that you not only get to see the young person who's on the list, but you always also get to see their family, the network, right? And you can kind of go out in sort of bigger circles, right? Because that leads to the community, that leads to the city, the state, the country. Like I just like to make lists real. I like to talk to human beings, and I think this is an opportunity for us to do that and to kind of touch and connect with families and students. So with that, that's sort of my big picture reflection of the day, but this is the part of the job that I love the most, right? Just connecting with people. So with that, I will pass to our superintendent.
Great, thank you. So I think, there were 50, 60 volunteers that were going out. I think the hope was to be able to get to a couple of hundred different door knocks. I think our experience was, and I felt really humbled about this, was to actually be able to get to talk to the young people who, in our case, were chronically absent. And, there was a range of issues for them. Some were medical, some had to do with family, some were just got off track with the pandemic and they just didn't know how to get back on track. And all of them were appreciative and really wanting to understand what options were. And I think that's really what the day's about, is just having that conversation, showing care, showing love from the Re-Engagement Center, from our mayor, from myself, and letting our young people and their families know we care, we're here, and that we have supports for them. And I think they were all extremely appreciative of that and really honest about the things that worked for them and didn't work for them. So it was a good learning experience for us as well. And hopefully, we made a difference either in a next step with some of them or planting a seed for them to know that where they can reach out to when they're ready to re-engage and come back into school. And with that, I'll turn it to our mayor.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I just want to thank all of the volunteers and the many, many people who are, many of whom who are still out knocking on doors right now, and to the team members at the Boston Public Schools and all of our partners, Neil at the PIC, and everyone who has been building up this outreach program for the last several years. We know it's effective. We know it makes a difference. And today we got to see directly at the doors what that means for individual students and families. For me, this is the most important part of our work, trying to make sure that everything we do in buildings like this is actually making it out to people in their homes and hearing directly from those young people and their caregivers about what we need to do better and ways that we can continue to build supports and make sure that they have every opportunity in the city. So it's been a great morning. We have a lot of work to do, and you could already see, you kind of feel the energy for back to school in many of the families as they came to the door. And so we're really gearing up for a great start to the school year, and just grateful to so many people who make this possible. Andrew, do you want to say anything? Questions?
What about the needs at the beginning of the school year? What should parents know what can be done and is being done?
Right. So first of all, we're excited to welcome our students back tomorrow. We've done incredible work on the AC piece from last year to this year, where it was about 300, and this year it's about 3,200 ACs have been rolled out. So most of our buildings are covered. In the buildings, it's a small number of them, around 14, that can't really sustain the ACs, usually electrical or whatnot. We've checked in with each of those leaders. We have plenty of fans, lots of water. We'll be messaging our leaders today in our final messaging about, not going outside in the heat. Same with our athletics, making sure that our athletes are taking breaks, doing lots of water, and we'll make some decisions about what to keep inside and what outside for activities. So we're being as proactive as possible with all of it. It looks like tomorrow will be the crux of it, and then Friday it'll start to cool back off again. But yes, we'll be opening the windows in the buildings without the AC to get the hot air out, doing all of the steps that we take. Even in Memorial Day last year, it was very, very hot as well. So all of those are in place. We've been in constant communication with our facilities. We meet multiple times daily, and also with our school leaders. So we feel prepared.
Can I make a note on this?
Oh, sure.
Too, before, and we'll have many more questions. I just want to make the larger point on this as well. We know that it's getting hotter and hotter in Boston overall. We know that the heat begins earlier on in the summer when the school year is still going here in Boston, and that it's lasting when the school year is beginning to start as well. And it takes an incredible amount of planning and coordination and staff time and resources to try to manage when many, many of our buildings are just old and need to be updated. You don't have to worry when it's a 90-degree day when you're standing in a building like this. It's one of the newest buildings in the BPS kind of facilities portfolio, and it is what this community deserved, to have a BPS headquarters that really reflected the care and the attention and modernization that we're able to do. So this is why, in addition to all of the efforts at every individual school and all the planning that's happening for these next couple days, we are also working really hard to just help provide that big picture plan for how we're going to improve and redo many of the buildings in Boston's very, very old building stock when it comes to our Boston Public Schools. This Green New Deal for BPS and facilities affects every part of learning. It's about having the right spaces and being able to accommodate the students, but day to day you can see learning is about a lot more than just the material and the books in front of you. It's your comfort levels, the heat, the temperature, the ability to have access to drinking water that's reliable, bathrooms that are exactly at the quality and standards that we deserve. And so a lot of that work is ongoing now, and we're reminded of the urgency of it every week.
Mayor, does this week's forecast make it harder for kids to get back into the mindset? Does it slow it down when it's beach-like weather?
Sure. I think the first couple of days for everyone, right, is just a readjustment back in again. Our students are always so happy to be back to school and to see their teachers, the ones that are new to the community, to see where they're going to be spending their time. We also make it a lot of fun, so tomorrow we'll be distributing pencils and going out and doing all kinds of different activities with them. But I think in general, when it's hot, for all of us, it can be uncomfortable, particularly getting back and forth to school, for our students. So, we're going to make it as fun as possible for them, try to get their mind out of the beach, as the next couple of days roll. And then looking at next week's temperatures, it's much more seasonable. We did. It was part of a big upgrade that we did relative to ventilation and to the AC. I think to the mayor's point, it's a really good one. We did what we can. They are old buildings, and so the idea of centralized air, centralized ventilation, we don't have that, right? So, but what we could do, we did, and we certainly used used ESSER funds to be able to do that. I would have to get back to you with that. We'll follow up.
You talked about the nature of buildings. How about the transportation to and from school and buses? I'm not sure if any have air conditioning. What's the issue with that, or what's the reality of that?
Yeah, so some of the newer buses will, and most of the older fleet won't, and so we do the windows. We're feeling very good about the transportation. This is a year that we're starting off fully staffed. When it comes to the drivers, we have 733, and so that's actually 100 more drivers than we have buses for the runs. We have an additional 35 in training. Bus monitors, we're 200 bus monitors up from last year. So we're just in a very different space in our staffing, which we're pleased about. The bus drivers, we're up to about 85%, I believe, of the first runs that bus drivers have actually taken the run. They know their route. All of these are pointing to positive signs for our transportation, and we're just going to continue to work on that OTP and make the students as comfortable as possible tomorrow on the buses, particularly in the later run when it's the afternoon and it's the heat. And right now, we've checked with all of the schools. They have plenty of fans. We're, again, opening windows to get the hot air out, as we typically do in the evening. Right now, I think getting through tomorrow, the schools that we've spoken to and the leaders feel comfortable that we'll be able to do that.
Mary, can you just cut? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay. Just on the general...
For our families.
Okay. Hoy estamos parte de un programa de hace unos años para encontrar y comunicar directamente con las familias en sus casas antes de la comienza del año escolar. Es muy importante crear esta conexión con cada familia, especialmente los estudiantes que tienen otros luchas o barreras para participación y educación. Entonces, la superintendenta y miembros de nuestro equipo de Re-Engagement Center en las escuelas públicas de Boston y también con un grupo de muchos voluntarios, tenemos una lista con de todos los estudiantes que necesita esta comunicación y era un momento muy emocionante, pero también muy feliz para mí como mamá de todos los estudiantes y un miembro de esta comunidad donde nuestros jóvenes y estudiantes tienen todas las posibilidades, pero también a veces solamente necesitan esta conexión, una conversación, un momento de apoyo, de comunidad. Entonces es muy importante y mañana tenemos una comienza para el año escolar con muchas preparaciones y estoy agradecida a todos los miembros de nuestro equipo para sus esfuerzos y liderazgo.
Rent control possibly being on the ballot next year?
I think, unless it's come out while we were door knocking, but I think we'll hear later on today. I haven't heard yet about one of the first checkpoints for many of the proposed ballot initiatives. As with all of the ballot initiatives, this is one mechanism for our residents to directly participate in policymaking. It is a big endeavor to go statewide and to set up the campaign to make sure people have all the information. So we'll wait to see which ones make it through this first legal assessment and then be following very closely.
Mayor, are you talking to Harvard about a job before or after you would move on?
I am not, but we've heard that rumor. It's very interesting.
There's no truth to it.
No. I mean, not that I would share it with you. Sadly, I'm not to be. I'm always honest, but no, there is. I love this job. I'm lucky and excited to do it every day. And frankly, it's things like this morning and going out and getting to spend time with our families directly that remind me of how important this work is, how urgent it is, and also just how privileged we all are, those of us who get the chance to try to make a difference these days in people's lives.
You would talk about the policy, how it's changed regarding truancy and absenteeism. It sounds like it's been a less punitive approach, and can you talk about the language and the action?
Yeah, I think it's just about evolving approaches rather than policy, right? I think every year we have a committed team of people who are thinking about this, and every year we just try to improve. We try to make things more personable. And again, I think this re-engagement work was founded on students just being able to kind of express what's going on with them from their lens, right? And you build from there, right? And you build the systems and policies and practices that support students becoming successful. So that would be my answer to that.